We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week, the OG undisputed scholar himself. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how's life treating you tonight?
It could be better, but I'm I don't have Goldie on my shoulder anymore, but you would think I would be mad. You think I would be sad. You think I would be throwing a complete and utter fit. But being an undisputed scholar, it's not really that much of a loss. It's just, it's not exactly a goodbye. It's just a until we meet again. And in Goldie's case, the undisputed scholars will get you back, Goldie. But for now, I just have to congratulate the new champ and our new scholar.
And with that, what better segue is there to introduce our third co-host of the evening? He is the newest scholar on the Scholars of Wrestling team, and he is the new Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion. Everyone say hello officially to the one and only Scholar Pete. Scholar Pete, how does it feel to be the newest scholar and our newest champion?
Let me tell you, I want to apologize, the glare off my newly won Scholars of Wrestling Championship.
So shiny up. People are
I just,
please resist the urge to click off this video just because the belt is so shiny. I know the glare is so shiny, but
I
you
mean,
gotta tough through it because this is great commentary gold, and you have to celebrate our new champion.
yes, you do. Scholar Jeff, I can't help but notice you didn't mention that, also I had a perfect card. I don't think any of the other scholars had a perfect card. So let me see if I got this right. I come on the show, I make great predictions. I tell you what's going to happen, and just like that, poof, it happens. All I have to say is, Scholar Brian, where are you? Because let me tell you, buddy, I told you I was going to become champion, and here I am, a scholar. But where are you? Nowhere to be found. But how are you gentlemen doing? Sorry, my shoulder's getting a little tired holding all this gold.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I am particular am doing fantastic because I have to admit, much like another noble figurehead of our time, I must borrow a quote from him and say, everything that has transpired has done so according to my design. Because I must confess, when we were making our predictions last week, we were making our predictions. I saw where the predictions were going, and then I was looking at the results, and then I saw something. I saw an opportunity. I noticed that you and I had nearly identical predictions for this entire thing. I knew I had a good shot. And my mind just started to drift. My mind started to drift to all the smack talk that I have seen on this show for such a long period of time. Oh, I'm an undisputed scholar. I'm this. I'm undisputed. I'm the champion. I'm Mr. Scholar in the Bank. I'm this. I'm that. Frankly, it was all getting rather old. But then I saw an opportunity. I saw an opportunity to change everything. I saw an opportunity to completely upend the hierarchy, the power hierarchy of this very show, changing it forever. It was a chance, but it was a chance I was going to take. All I needed to do was just change one little prediction. I wasn't. Did anyone really think that I really expected Solo Sikoa to win? Did anyone seriously believe that? I'm afraid not. It was infinitesimal, It was a possibility, but it was far, far from likely. And I knew it. But that was a hit I was willing to take because I knew that if everything transpired the way I thought it would, and let's be honest, it did, we were going to be crowning not just a new champion, but a new scholar. A new scholar that could bring a whole new, fresh perspective to this show, a whole new degree, a new dimension, if you will, of smack talk to this show, completely and utterly changing the landscape of Scholars of Wrestling forever. And all I needed to do was just sacrifice 1 point. Sure, well, if I had gone with Cody Rhodes, it would have been a tie. Would have been interesting. Would have been more smack talk. Would have been the hey. But you know what? I was willing to sacrifice that. I was willing to sacrifice that 1 point towards the after the year end to create not just a new champion, but a whole new scholar. In a way, I have forged the next chapter of the Scholars of Wrestling show. And as we like to say every single week, you're welcome.
You know, so instead of the Montreal screw job, what you did was you made probably you're going to be the greatest champion on this channel has ever seen. Not only will I be a defending champion, I think that
Oh, you're going to be defending champion.
oh yeah,
You're okay. Well,
I'm
that
not
will
like
bring
you
me
boys.
to part
I'm not like you
two.
boys. This every pay-per-view. I'm not scared to put my belt away. Every PLE, my belt is on the line. That's how confident I am that I will be your champion because I don't talk smack. I am the best, and I will show you why. Doesn't matter. Fucking
That's
bring back bad
exactly
blood.
that is exactly what I was hoping to hear. Because let's make something abundantly clear. Right now, Pete, you are a scholar because I enabled it, and you remain champion because I allow it. And it's in that spirit that I am laying down this challenge to you. You and me, 1-on-1 for the title, all in. Will you accept the challenge of the one who made you? I'll tell you what, don't answer now. Do not answer now. Soak it in. Summon your courage. Take all the time you need. But just know that Daddy's watching.
You'll have your episode. You ask me at the end of the show, I'll give you an answer. You want an answer? Give it at the end of the show. I'll give you your answer, Scholar Jeff.
I look
Scholar
forward
Park.
to your response.
Where are you at in all this? Drinking that drink. Because he knows who the champion's going to be. He knows. He knows what's real.
At this point, I'm just here to watch what the Scholars of Wrestling can lay out. I said it before and I'll say it again. I'm just right now, I'm at that point in my Scholars of Wrestling career where I'm just a spectator. And if I get the championship again, either the party championship or the Scholars of Wrestling heavyweight championship, I'll just be good with that. But in the end, what Scholar Brian and I have is just sheer dominance over this show. And it's now just up to Brian to when he has that beef case hiding in the shadows, waiting for that one moment to strike. And
How
as
many
for
times
me,
have you lost the belt?
huh?
How many times have you lost the Scholar's belt?
Let's see. 7 times?
Oh, see, I don't need to count because I haven't lost it. I'm not going to lose it because I am the best.
It's
Oh,
just
you
so funny
sweet
how much you
summer
guys are.
child.
It's just, yeah,
Even I know better
yeah.
than to say that part.
Oh yeah, you just with all that confidence, you just will just upset the wrong animal. But until then, we'll just let you enjoy we're just gonna let you enjoy some quality time with Goldie, because yeah, because you're not gonna just have her very long. You're gonna know what it's like to lose that championship belt, because the three of
Yeah.
us, it's like Jeff knows it, I know it, Brian knows it, Charlie knows it. One day we'll get that from Skylar Jeremy eventually. I'm
Smell
still
that?
rooting on that one.
You smell that? The blood is already in the water.
Oh,
It
the blood.
has
Oh,
already
absolutely.
begun.
All I can say,
Yes.
well, all I can say is these back and forth between the two of you would not have happened if I hadn't put the title on the line in the first place. So in order for your title reign to exist and for Jeff's title challenge to come into fruition, you're welcome.
The smack talk has already begun. That's a whole
Oh,
new
well,
era
it's
of
more than smack talk. It's just pointing out what happened and then pointing out the inevitable. That is, Goldie will come back to being undisputed. Whether it's from me, whether it's from cashing in the beef case. It will be ours again. Oh
Oh
yes.
yes.
It will be ours again.
With
I'll leave him.
that, welcome to the show, Scholar Pete. I hope you can hang with the big dogs now. But in any case, we also have the rest of the show as normal because there has unexpectedly been a lot to cover this week in professional wrestling, including how we got to this exact point. We got to kick things off right with a little segment we like to call Backstage News.
Indeed, we shall go ahead once again as we do every week and peek behind that curtain and just realize, God, there's just more and more contract shenanigans for the year of 2024 in our segment we call Backstage News.
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 Feel free to join the
News.
echo. Man.
Join the Echo, champ. Yep, you're on the show. You got to learn these things. Say news.
I said news.
Seems like you were just like harmonizing with the new. Sounds like you were
There you
harmonizing
go.
than anything else.
But
But in any event, what Scholar Tarek was alluding to earlier was the apparent revelation that we had the Lucha Brothers were in talks to actually possibly go to WWE. As of right now, nothing has been signed or confirmed just yet as of the time of this recording. But for my fans like myself and others who thought that these guys were going to be AEW lifers, this potentially came as quite a bit of a shock.
it's absolutely not a shock. Absolutely greatness for the wrestling industry is this right here. Let me tell you how great the Lucha Brothers are. And I've enjoyed Penta's work. And in AEW, you can have the matches that you want and see all those guys face all those other guys, the Young Bucks, the Lucha Bros. Who's the better matchup? Let me tell you what's different about this WWE we got here. Not only did this WWE make me the first time Scholar champion, but it also brings light to performers that under Triple H's banner could have amazing matches. Penta versus Seth Rollins, anybody? I'd pay top dollar to see that. Kevin Owens? I mean, and what do they have to prove in AEW? They can get a great contract in WWE. I hope this is true because I think the sky's the limit for the Lucha Brothers in the WWE.
I mean, for me, as long as they just don't show up and just enter the LWO, then yeah, I'm good with that. Especially since they're saying that they don't want to spend time in NXT. They want to just go right into the main roster, which, let's be fair, that's not going to be their call. But I get why. I mean, that you have I believe it's Penta that said that he's 40, or was it well, okay, it doesn't matter. It's I could as long as they don't show, they are just their own thing, not showing up just lucha wrestlers. Let's just throw them in the LWO because lucha. So yeah, and I believe they are trying to come in as a package deal, not just one at a time. And with their contracts about to be done within the next couple of months, actually, I believe one of them's contract ends in the end of September. I'm looking forward to see what they're capable in a WWE format, WWE style of wrestling.
Oh yeah, as we've seen with the variety of opponents that Penta at least has taken on over the years, especially in AEW rather. I see him as being more than capable of doing all that. But I have to admit, Tarek, it depresses me that how right your assessment of them being dropped into the LWO right away. After seeing what became of Andrade during his newest run, how quickly it seems to be put to the wayside. That was just horrible. That is very unfortunate, but at the same time, you know me, I'm a big time fan of Penta. If they do end up signing Penta,
Yeah, and Ray
I'm
Phoenix.
and
Again, they
Ray
want to go in
Phoenix.
they want to go in as a deal.
Very true. Very true. But at the very least, I can see Triple H knowing who they are and what they're about in a similar vein, at least, to how they've been handling Shinsuke Nakamura. If they come in like that, especially if they have a next generation masked luchador to finally take the reins from Rey Mysterio, I'm I'm pretty hopeful. I'm gonna say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about a 6 on the hopeful scale. On that note, real quick, super quick scholars quick talk. How hopeful are you that this is going to work on a scale of 1 to 10?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll probably just go like one step higher than yours, fool. I'll give it a very enthusiastic 7. And as we're discussing this, I'm trying to think, where would there be a good place for them to make their debut in a WWE ring? And my response is, why not have the next Dusty Rhodes Classic be mix of NXT and main roster and have them be included? Have that be their introduction, being in a very rare, well respected tournament like that.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea in the slightest. That would be a great platform for them to spring off of. The one thing that gives me a little bit of pause is them saying that they didn't want to go through the NXT process. And as of right now, it seems like the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic is still largely affiliated with NXT. So I'm not sure if they're going to want to do that. My first instinct was to say if their contracts are coming up within a couple months, I would say maybe debut them at Survivor Series as early as that. It'll give them a good enough platform to debut on a big stage while also not waiting around to just push them out there, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you what makes sense about these two fine professional athletes coming over to the WWE. My scholar hype and hope is at an all-time 9. And I don't think that they would be going to the NXT. I think we're seeing an AJ Styles type of thing here where, no offense to Andrade, we love him, but he doesn't pack that wow feature. When you see Penta and you see Ray Phoenix with the mask and just the persona and how the crowd takes him and the crazy moves that they pull off, they are excitement to watch. People know and to bring them into maybe, like you said, a little bit Scholar Jeff, which I like, but I wish you just push it one more day. I'm not looking at Survivor Series for them to debut. I'm looking at the Survivor Series Raw after, where there's something that goes on. the tag team champions are in chaos, what happens? You have Penta and Ray Phoenix. Not saying you're going for the titles. Make that big impact. Show why these guys are somebody to latch onto, and then let them just bring the energy that they bring in an AEW TNA type of matchup. This is a slam dunk if WWE can get them. I think it's going to be interesting to see if Coney Khan throws the money at the end of the day to keep the Lucha Brothers on AEW television.
Well, either way, no matter what happens, the future does look bright for the Lucha Brothers. However, unfortunately, elsewhere across the wrestling landscape, there is another bit of future that does not look so bright. As a matter of fact, it's looking very, very hazy at the moment. Because it was just revealed rather earlier today, as of the day we're recording this, that there's a pretty hefty scandal engulfing the officials surrounding SGW, Soft Ground Wrestling Uganda, the ringless professional wrestlers from Uganda who have taken the professional wrestling world by storm, indie darlings, if you will. They have been a little bit of a hot water situation because apparently there's been some allegations of fraud from the people who have been running SGW. In brief, there was a bit of a article released by the website bodyslam.net alleging that the promoters of SGW have actually been defrauding people who have been donating money to this, mismanaging the funds, not actually spending the money the way that it was intended. There's a laundry list of accusations and evidence, and even the person in charge of SGW even just never owns any of these accusations, keeps deflecting, keeps even starts accusing some of their top stars of being creeps, of being pests. That's the best PG way I got to describe it. But this is a big story that's just been breaking as of the day that we've been recording this. I'll probably see if I can pass along the original news articles, probably in the description of this video. But needless to say, yeah, a lot of the innocence and excitement and hopefulness that has been surrounding SGW Uganda lately seems to be drying up fast. Gentlemen, your thoughts? Did you hear anything about this? And what's your take?
I'm actually looking at the news article now, at least from wrestlinginc.com. I guess cheap plug there. Uh, let's see. It began with GoFundMe campaign, which saw the likes of Will Ospreay, Daniel Garcia, and TNA's Jordan Grace donated. The campaign exceeded its goal of $10,000, but was suspended after the person running it began receiving online harassment, accusing of withholding the funds. Yeah, geez.
Yeah. Meanwhile, apparently the person running the GoFundMe was actually just a well-meaning teenager who was in way over their head and started getting harassed by the promoter. It's when you're trying to donate money from a United States-based organization to someplace in Uganda. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. I'll probably post a link to the Wrestling Inc. article in question below for everyone to read it if you come across this video. But yeah, this is extremely heavy and really disheartening to see. Pete, have you been following any of the story relating to SGW Uganda lately?
No, but you bring up a point with the GoFundMe. As you know, it's a wrestling podcast, but in video games, it happens a lot of times where these developers take on a game or something and it's just mismanaged, or there's just too much, or the person just takes the money and runs, and it's a craziness to see. And for a wrestling organization, especially being backed by Will Ospreay, somebody who is, even though that he's in AEW, one of the hottest free agents a couple months ago, where was he signing? Like, for him to be affiliated with that, it just shows the brand name to say what were the inner workings of this organization? Like, what led to this guy withholding the money, or what has transpired to make it so that this is not looking so clean on the other side, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, this just the way this is all going. Again, nothing has been proven in any sort of court of law just yet, but from what
Still are in the story.
very
So
true. But just from the sheer appearance of all of this, and from even just the other opposing viewpoints that have been coming to light, just even in the past few hours, I don't know anything for sure, but this seems to be a case of where there's smoke, there's fire. Again, check out the links below. Read all the accusations for yourself.
mhm.
Read all the accounts, because right now it seems like a little bit of innocence has died in the wrestling world today. But be that as it may, that is the only source of negative press that we got, because as you observed, we have crowned a new champion, we have crowned a new scholar. So we would be remiss if we didn't take a step back and see how on earth we got here. Let's do a quick review of WWE SummerSlam 2024. Right out of the gate, I gotta say, one accusation I heard was that this was not a, I'm not quoting verbatim here, that this was not a matches show. It was a storyline show where
This
the
is
results and the storylines seemed to take center stage as the entire show progressed. Uh, we all watched it together. What was your take on what we saw that night?
I actually think that is a very fair assessment. And I'm not even really mad at it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That SummerSlam was definitely a more storytelling oriented show, because that is just the one thing that WWE likes to really emphasize in their product, is that we are wrestling, at least now under the Triple H regime, because you wouldn't get this under Vince McMahon. We do like to focus on our wrestling, but we just as much want to emphasize and just put in the detail of our stories to make sure it's a consistent basis. So, with that said, as someone who has just been enjoying the product, enjoying the storylines that we have been getting from WWE, I am not at all mad. I enjoyed this show wholeheartedly. I enjoyed the wrestling that was in it, and where we are going storyline wise. Some, like, at the time of SummerSlam, they bothered me, but now that we see where it is going on Raw, I don't mind it. It's not perfect, but I don't mind it as much.
Yes, Pete, you, Mr. Champ, you got some thoughts on how SummerSlam went and how it's proceeding into the week.
Well, say his name and he'll appear. Your scholars a wrestling champion, aka Mr. Perfect Card. Let me tell you how we got to this perfect card. It's like you gentlemen have said, it's all about the story. Let me tell you something. I knew that Rhea and Dami Boy were not going to be together no more. But the best thing, and I think that Scholar Tarek will agree with me. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I would like to say that yes, we knew, but the difference with the Triple H's regime is it's the little touches, it's the little things. I bring you, like I said, just a point in SummerSlam, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, and you just saw like where he was just, no, you're not screwing, my brother's not screwing me over. When throughout the last couple of weeks, you saw it live with putting graffiti, and not graffiti, but spray painting every Judgment Day member except for Finn. And then you come off onto Monday, which we'll get to, where we see a new regime. SummerSlam was stories, and the bonus was we got some great matches. Were they 5-star matches? No, some were not, but there were some that, without question, was an entertaining show. I came out of SummerSlam entertained, and Scholars of Wrestling champion.
Yeah, as much as I can see the accusations or critiques, rather, excuse me, that this was definitely more of a storyline based show, for lack of more precise terms, I don't think that's a negative at all. A lot of these endings, the matches themselves were solid. They were good. They certainly weren't bad in the slightest. There's nothing to complain about. But the endings and what we got, the twists and turns, not only did we either get the results that we all collectively seem to want, but we also got the twists and turns and the execution that I think we all needed. Does this make sense as I'm telling you?
I agree. Did you gentlemen enjoy the Jelly Roll performance and um, action that he had in the ring, or do you just think that he like it was nice, but I could do without the performance? I could have done without the choke slamming, the A team.
Definitely the latter. Definitely the latter for sure. But then again, it seemed more or less on par with a lot of other celebrity segments that we've seen over the years. It was nothing special. Jelly Roll, I've heard some of his other stuff. I like him. I want to like Jelly Roll, but this just seemed, it's
Out of
just
place.
felt indulgent. That's the best word I've got to
Okay.
describe it.
All right. All right.
Jelly Roll does nothing for me. I didn't really care much for the segment,
I'm
but
I was
like
just
Jeff said,
trying to be
it's
I'm
that
just trying to be diplomatic here, but yeah, you said
No,
it.
no, because there a lot of people were saying like, his song "Liar," which is a very good song. Like the fans were into it, so it's like to be there must have been another experience. But I felt like, did it take away? No, I think it just added a difference to the show. You got to understand that. I feel like, especially with this WWE and where we're at, things are ever evolving. We went from a Prime logo to now Prime with Wingstop. So it's just, I feel like the Triple H, with bringing in the celebrities, I feel the Jelly Roll song was great, and then with just that big choke slam, and you saw the energy that he brought. You want to, it's SummerSlam. You know what SummerSlam is? It's just partying time and having fun, and I feel like Jelly Roll did that for at least me as a wrestling fan as a whole, where it's like bring on people that can bring in the show.
That being said, for the wrestling side of things, we already talked a little bit about ultimately Dominic Mysterio turning on Mommy and siding with Liv Morgan, thus
Okay.
completing that whole scenario. Are there any other notable highlights from the entire night of twists and turns that really stuck out to you, or even what was your favorite moment or match of the entire night?
I'll give you a quick one, and I'm just gonna hit it right now. Mr. L.A. Knight. Yeah, finally getting his due and his title. I mean, he had his stuff in TNA, but the man has had an incredible last 18-month run, and we have to acknowledge it. He came out and the crowd started to eat him up, and it just became this great momentum. And I think, like I said, was the match great? I thought it was a very, very decent match. Nothing I'll ever want to go, hey, remember the classic back in the day? It's no Gunther match, let's be honest. But it's it's something where good on you for LA Knight for really just getting what we all know you deserved, which is a championship of your own.
With that, I think it's time Tarek gushes a little bit. So, Tarek, the floor is yours.
I really want to like. I guess when it just comes to like what are the result, what came out of SummerSlam. Hold on, excuse me. I am extremely happy that Gunther is now the World Heavyweight Champion. I am extremely happy that his first title defense at Bash of Berlin is going to be the King of the Ring final rematch against Randy Orton to finally put that one peg of his win at King of the Ring to sleep. It's just that there's now another peg that was created, and that's the peg of when you had this entire Intercontinental Championship run be nothing but clean victories. I'm not particularly a fan that there had to be outside interference from Finn Balor to get to solidify that ring win for Gunther, which I've discussed with others the past week, and like they said, they get where I'm coming from, but it's just at least it's not just because Gunther looks weak. They're using it to continue an actual storyline and not just have it be both guys can't win, so let's put some shenanigans in to cost it. That's fair. I just hope that that's the one hiccup of this soon to be great reign that Gunther is going to have with that championship. And as I tweeted a few months back, hold on, I'm gonna say what I have to say about Gunther's title reign on this show. And I quote, "Mark my words, when Gunther wins the World Heavyweight Championship, which he did, his championship, like the Intercontinental and NXT UK championships beforehand, he's going to surpass all the records of this new and original run of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the one that Eric Bischoff debuted and gave to Triple H. That original World Heavyweight Championship reign, he's going to surpass all the records that even that championship had, as what's supposed to be pretty much the sequel belt of that, which I still don't know why they don't just continue that lineage, but whatever. That was the only real hick, like the big I had the moment of Gunther finally winning the world championship. It's just I'm not a big fan of how he won it. We although it is to what I wanted of Finn Balor also breaking up Judgment Day, even though I wanted him to be the initial one. Um, from Dominic Mysterio's turn on Rhea Ripley to Finn Balor's turn on Damian Priest. So now we have a Judgment Day 3.0.
And we're going to be absolutely getting into that whole heavy drama and how that all developed. But and we're also going to be dropping in on where Gunther's headed as well. But before we get to all that, and before we move on past SummerSlam, we are going to do official beard ratings for WWE SummerSlam 2024. Now, Pete, for the newest scholar in the room, this is where we're going to be rating our shows using the beard scale, where 1 is a clean shaven, 2 is a peach fuzz, just like a little bit of hairs on the face. 3 out of 5 is a classic goatee, got something that's styled, but not quite as robust as a full beard, which is a 4 on the scale. 4 out of 5, a full beard, something like this, looking good, very robust, very manly, very scholarly. And of course, if it's a 5 out of 5, that is a big old beard that we can't help but refer to as a goat face. So, to demonstrate said scale, Scholar Tark, would you care to demonstrate with your ratings for SummerSlam 2024?
Indeed, I shall. I'm gonna give SummerSlam 2024 a very high enthusiastic 4 out of 5. I'm gonna give it a full beard. like I was talking before about how I wasn't a big fan of the Gunther win, at least how he won it. Um, I'm happy that we actually got the Roman Reigns return and just the possibilities on where that can go, just from the nodding to Cody Rhodes to what he did to Solo Sikoa, and where we're finally going to start that bloodline civil war, which will inevitably bring back Jimmy Uso and bring in, from what I'm hoping, Jay Uso and Sami Zayn to be the OG versus the Bloodline 2.0. Um, let's see. The the big highlight story that came out of SummerSlam for me was Drew McIntyre facing CM Punk and all, where the story. I'm not going to go into full details of the match, but just the overall arc of CM Punk being the one that actually cost CM Punk the match. He was his own worst enemy because he let his emotions get the better of him to almost almost completely lose it on Drew McIntyre to get his bracelet back, and him hitting the go to sleep on Seth Rollins, which where that will lead eventually. But first, now Seth is going to take time off because of that awesome attack from the hands of Bronson Reed. That's something to look into for future scholars episodes. And then you had the rest of the card where it was just good matches from Nia Jax to against Bailey, which I'm surprised with that result. Because it's just more of I wish Bailey did more with the championship reign that she had. And Braun Breaker as Intercontinental Champion, and as Pete Point, LA Knight becoming United States Champion. We're in a very good place with who is now the winners who came out of there and which champions are which way. I'm very excited, very high, 4 out of 5.
I will second that. This was a very, very strong show. Even if it is just the storylines and where we're going to be going, where we think it's going to go, when we talk about briefly the happenings on Monday Night Raw the next 2 days from then, excuse me. But either way, the rating system remains the same. I'm also going to go 4 out of 5, a full beard of a show, a very satisfying one. And hey, we on top of everything else, we also made a new champ and a new scholar. So with that being said, Scholar Pete, rather, grant us your first ever beard rating for SummerSlam 2024.
Yeah. I'm going to go across the board. I agreed with you, gentlemen. It's a 4 out of 5. Let's go with a full beard. I mean, let's top to bottom. This card gave you everything. It gave you great matches. It gave you great story moments. I mean, it was missing my wife AJ Lee, but you know what? They could fix it in a post show. Uh, but I just want to touch up on one thing. Like I said, we talked about it off before, but I need to talk to you, gentlemen, about now. You know, the tribal chief coming back, what that's going to be, and just the presence that he brought. It was just like the classic when Punk came back last year. That energy in that crowd when he goes, the man draws. Never would I think that 5 to 6 years ago, this man would just just embody the business as he is now. Like I said, full beard, 4 out of 5. Keep doing your thing, Triple H. I am enjoying every minute of it.
And there
Your
you have it.
champion.
There you have it. Those are our ratings for SummerSlam 2024. But in terms of the storylines, we are nowhere near done because we got some pretty heavy duty fallout on Monday Night Raw. But before we go into the one thing that I'm really all excited about, even right with the fallout from Dominic Mysterio signing with Liv Morgan, and we've got Finn Balor betraying Damian Priest, we got a complete upheaval of the Judgment Day as we know it, where it seemed like, okay, basically it first Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley seemed like they both got jilted, and now there's going to be a schism in in Judgment Day, but now this whole other group, including Liv Morgan, now they're the new Judgment Day. Like, what is going on here, gentlemen? Help me out.
Isn't it cool to be part of the new Judgment Day with Carlito?
For a second there, I wasn't sure where you're going that, but like, I suppose, yeah, it is somewhat cool.
It's like Finn said on Monday Night Raw. He goes, "This was never about leaders. It was all about, all of us." And you saw within Judgment Day, when Damian Priest bringing up that he became the leader with the world title, and how Finn, like I said, playing up this Judgment Day has been there. Live, God bless Dominic Mysterio. What a guy. I think I think people are looking at this like the Bloodline 2.0, but I think that given the right little push and the right little twist, I think that they can become the Judgment Day of new and really shock us with some great things.
If nothing else, one thing that strikes me is that the Judgment Day are legitimate heels again. They pretty much took their biggest stars and moved them all to individual roles, outside roles. This is the one thing that I'm very curious about. What, not just so much about the Judgment Day 2.0, but more about what is going to become of Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Are they going to remain together? Are they going to be powerfully individual eyes? What is going on here?
My fear is that Damian Priest is going to be forgotten. I think that, and I don't think like, and I don't mean it like that. I think Rhea, mommy, she is going to be fine. She is the women's division over there. It brings me back to like they're back in the Attitude Area with Victoria, Trish Stratus, Lita, like all these different uh women had just character, and I feel like Rhea has her own character, Liv has her own character, like Bianca has her own character. They could all be, I know SmackDown, but like they all have their characters. I feel like Damien, if not taken care of properly, what's going to happen to him? He's not going to become world champion now. You're not going to go for the IC belt. What happens to him? That's my worry about post Judgment Day breakup with Damian Priest.
Hmm.
What happens? Scholar Jeff, Scholar Tark, I leave the question to you. What happens to him?
I have to admit, if this was maybe a month ago, or maybe 1, 2 months ago, rather, let's go with that, I would be concerned with that as well. Where it just seemed like, because of how he won it, I feel like Damian Priest as an individual has not really hit his stride in the same way that Rhea Ripley has, for instance. Rhea Ripley is, I'm just going to say it, I think Rhea Ripley is one of their biggest stars in the company, bar none, right now.
Top five easy. Top five easy.
Easy. Everyone loves Mommy. Even if watching at WrestleMania 40, super over, one of the biggest stars they had. And really, nobody wants to boo her anymore. And I think that was the whole impetus for this, where she is already over as gangbusters. Everyone loves Mommy, and everyone loves to really boo Dominic, which is, I think, why we all needed this result in the first place. But anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. Going back to even the match we saw out of him and Gunther, I felt like he's been getting progressively better with every single title defense he has, especially now with this new character development. I'm feeling a lot more confident that he is not just going to drift off into obscurity. Not this Damian Priest. Give him a return match against Gunther at some point. Have him just feud with the rest of the Judgment Day. Have him lead a one-man crusade. Do whatever. But either way, I think the setting is perfectly ripe to see more of not just Damian Priest the champion, but Damian Priest the character. Tarek, am I talking out of my butt right now? What do you think?
No, I like what Jeff said. If you would have said that a while back while he was still Mr. Money in the Bank, then yeah, I actually think the title reign did help him elevate to a new level. And it's from particularly that his feud with Gunther that really solidified him as a good top babyface with this crowd. He gets good reactions. Um, the only problem now for me is that I'm just not feeling the story. I think like they're trying to push him a little too hard and too strong, which I think he's more than capable of. But when you introduce a new top heel stable, like a new rendition of of your top heel stable, and kind of got overpowered in their debut, it's kind of hard to really get that invested because I'll just look at this as Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley will be the Roman Reigns to this new Judgment Day's League of Nations, where
Oh
they're just
boy.
there, where they're just there to put Priest and Rhea over at the like and not do anything with Judgment Day. I want this to be a revitalization for Finn Balor. I want this to be now with this, he is a top heel and he's not just a like the weak chicken shit heel. Save that part for Dominic. Have Finn Balor be that dominant heel that doesn't look bad. And that's yeah, uh I just don't know about even now that just I wasn't really for a new Judgment Day to begin with. Me personally, I wanted the storylines to have them drift apart from Rhea and Liv Dom and drift in that way, and Priest and Finn live go in a different direction. I'm not again as long as it's not that. And Monday is like left that bad taste in my mouth that they are going to do that League of Nations esque feud with Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley since they're the big top stars that they're trying to push. I guess only time will tell. But as of right now, I'm not digging the beginning. Hopefully, the end will have a better result for me.
You know, it's funny the way you brought that up. You actually make a very good point that I didn't even consider. There's been so much talk about, okay, what's Damian Priest gonna be doing? Is he gonna be lost in the sauce again? But in reality, I think this result actually changed it or prevented that quite a bit, not just for Damian Priest, but also for Finn Balor, where you bring up a good point. Or I started to think about it and I said, you know what? It's been a while since Finn Balor, of all people, was treated like a main event threat. I mean, it was at least a year by the storyline's own admission, where it was anything remotely resembling a title match or some sort of major threat. It almost seemed like Finn Balor was just another guy for the longest time, where it almost felt like I almost found myself forgetting that Finn Balor was around. Now, due to this restructuring of what we now know as a Judgment Day, I feel like there's a lot more of a defined role with each individual member. And without Rhea Ripley or Damian Priest in the picture, now we've got Finn Balor in a much more defined, clear, threatening role, even. And I think that not only will boost up and more define Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest's roles, but it will also greatly raise and define Finn Balor's role, going as not just in the Judgment Day, but also as a wrestler and where he fits in on the card. Is that making sense?
Oh, yes, I know. That's exactly what like that's what I actually wanted this to begin with Finn Balor being the original, being the one that who actually initiates it, the breakup of Judgment Day, and not the whole it starting with Dominic and Rhea. But again, how they presented it, like with the story of Priest choking, like choking Finn when Dominic, basically having that moment be the tipping point that leads to, okay, I'm going to attack. I'm going to turn on you tonight for Finn Balor. I wanted this. The whole turn was I wanted to be Finn Balor being a top level threat because, as you even said in your thought, Finn Balor was just in the background of Judgment Day for a long time, and Rhea and Priest were big center points. Hell, even Dom was a big center point, and Finn was in the back. It was basically in the lackey point with like JD McDonough, and will eventually lead to Carlito. Like he's back with those guys as just the quote unquote lackeys. And I'm just thinking, I don't want Finn in this position. Finn deserves so much better. He doesn't deserve to have that nickname Pin Balor because he's always in these matches to get pinned. So I hope to have your optimism is that of where they're going with this now turn that actually put Finn Balor in a better position as like at least in the top 5 heels. Like probably it's like Drew McIntyre, Gunther, and have number 3 be Finn Balor. Have them be the top 3 and not have like Finn be like heel number 6 or something at the point of relevancy. Hell, I even think now that for me the biggest thing that came out of Raw for me was Bronson Reed basically showing, okay, maybe this is the lead of a new main event push for him. Hopefully this will make him number 4 in that listing of heels for on the side of Raw at least. But yeah, back to the whole Judgment Day discussion. Yeah, I'm hoping that this now puts Finn Balor in a position where, like I said, I just put him as number 3. Hopefully they will treat him as number 3 and not just have this new Judgment Day be the League of Nations for Priest and Rhea's Roman Reigns.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm personally feeling very confident. And I'm also feeling very confident in the future of Gunther as well. When we got that promo standoff between Gunther and Randy Orton, seemingly being his next challenger at Brash in Berlin. And I think just the way this whole thing is presented, I think this is why I don't have your concern about, okay, this isn't going to be the first of any more screwy finishes for Gunther as champion. This whole thing just reads to me like, okay, this is if Gunther was feeling derailed a bit by the finish of that match, this whole thing seems like they're preparing him to give him his ideal way back, where this will be a great, heavy, hard hitting back and forth match between Randy Orton and Gunther that will reestablish him as a main event level wrestler who does not need to rely on people to win. He is still every bit the absolute crushing presence that he always is. And I think this is going to be the feud to immediately get us right back on track.
Oh, I'm thinking the exact same thing. I'm just hating the fact that he basically started his championship with a dusty finish. But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think this is the start of it's basically like, okay, everybody gets one. I mean, hell, Gunther had one in his entire Intercontinental Championship feud. So everybody gets one.
Very
I mean,
true.
one way to pair it with Randy Orton, more veteran at his craft, him and Gunther put on a absolute amazing match, but excluded at the King of the Ring finals. But like you gentlemen said, champion's champion. Gunther is just going to put down Randy Orton at in Berlin. Like he's just, I think it's going to show the dominance that Gunther will be. I think he's going to say, okay, you thought I had a questionable pin on Randy Orton. Oh, you thought that I needed Finn Balor's help. No, this is why I am the King of the Ring. This is why I'm the longest reigning IC champion because I am the baddest motherfucker on Raw, and he is going to have a great match with Orton. But at the end, he's going to show the dominance and say, "Listen up, this is the real game here." and put some back into Gunther that he used to be. Scholar Tar. Here's your faces. What are you saying to that?
Oh, yeah, of course. Gunther is just gonna show dominance, and he's going to show that even though I put him as number two as top heel of Raw, that doesn't mean that Drew McIntyre, who is obviously number one, is that far ahead as number one. Gunther is going to, especially with facing someone who's prestigious like Randy Orton, this is going to show that yeah, he's going to be at that top level, like right next to Drew McIntyre instead of having just Drew under him or over him.
And with all this, even so, this wasn't even the thing that I was waiting for the most. After long last, and the main event, we got the thing I wanted to see the most. We got the in-ring debut of the Wyatt Sicks. And it was what I wanted. Everyone is here. They showed off what they can do. It was so great to see all of these guys, everyone in action. And although I was a little surprised to see a clean win over the newly crowned American made team of Chad Gable and the Creed brothers, this this was the match I not only wanted, but the match I needed to see that, okay, everyone involved can go. I'm still waiting on the in-ring debut of Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas's Uncle Howdy, in some one-on-one capacity. I've got a feeling that's probably going to be the next match. But in the meantime, I finally got what I wanted. I got to see the Wyatt Sicks and all of their entrance and all. It seems like no one involved has lost a step in the slightest, and it was very sincerely heartwarming to see.
I
Oh,
love the fact
100%.
that Dexter Loomis got the pin. I was expecting Rowan to get the pin out of that, but having Dexter Loomis be that one, it's a big deal. It's like, oh wow, there actually is like there's the thought of Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis definitely being the more tag team of the stable, but
I can
they're
see
still
that.
showing that like that may be the case, but they're just as well if they have singles matches, at least more capable. Like I would love to see these guys go one on one, going to one on one with others. I think they'll put on really. I'm looking forward to this. I'm with Jeff. I got very emotional watching this match, watching that entrance, and just showing that it's definitely there is no supernatural thing that would have been obviously there during the Vince McMahon regime. This is now this is quote quote like in the real world, as some people were worried about it being just, oh, what are they going to do in the ring? We now see what they're capable of, what they're going to do in the ring. These are just guys, and it's at least that part can finally be put to rest. And now I'm just super excited to see where they're going to go storyline wise, and for that inevitable singles in ring debut of the well, not no, I think they are in ring return of this new Uncle Howdy, because I'm pretty sure him and Bray had a tag team match, right?
They had a couple segments, but I'm not sure if they had an official match. It seemed like they were going in that direction, but
Okay,
nothing. I don't
okay.
think anything official ever actually happened. I think they had like one segment with Hit Row of all people back in the day. But
Yes, they did. I remember that.
yeah, Scholar Pete, did you happen to catch any of the Wyatt Six? Have you been following their work? What do you make of
How
what
could
we
you
saw?
not be following their work? Let me tell you something. It's again this Triple H era of you come off of SummerSlam, you have Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, acknowledge him coming back. How do you bring eyes to your show? You debut the new Wyatt Six. It's just, it's fantastic to see the presentation that has been going on. Uncle Howdy looking on, seeing that Eric Rowan has still like doing his thing, like Shower Tark said, not expecting the pin, but like just I feel, and I don't want to say this as like a slant to the new Judgment Day when I was sharing their praises a moment ago, but I feel like this new identity that they have going could be the new Judgment Day for Monday Night Raw, where it's what are they going to do next? What's happening? Who are they going to be interrogating? I think seeing them live, they performed, and just the aura, I think Raw has something great on their hands, and there's all love between those characters. So the sky's the limit for that, I feel.
Absolutely. As I'm very much looking forward. It's going to be a highlight of my Monday nights. That's all I know.
Yeah, it's a must see Monday Night Raw right there. You got to see what we have to offer. We have more than just Gunther. We have more than just Drew McIntyre, soon to be maybe the Lucha Brothers.
Hey, all I know is I just want to see Penta on the biggest stage he possibly can be. I'm not worried about his future because Cero, Miedo. That's how we do it. But anyway, speaking of AEW, we wouldn't be able to close out the show without covering what I believe was actually a damn fine episode of AEW Dynamite. Because of many things, we got a further stipulation to the feud between Swerve Strickland and Bryan Danielson. Apparently, it's going to be a title versus career match at All In. The stakes are now much higher than they ever have been. And it all capped off with a really compelling interview segment between Swerve Strickland and Jim Ross, hyping the match up. And oof. And not to mention Bryan Danielson himself had a anything goes hardcore match with Jeff Jarrett for some reason, with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat as the special referee. There was a lot happening on this show, and all is building up even more hype to All In. Uh, Gentlemen, how much of this show did you catch?
I did catch the match with Danielson and Jeff Jarrett, which I will say it was a lot of fun to watch. As it comes to their match with Danielson and Swerve, now title versus career, I know that Danielson is on the way out, at least of a full-time thing. I do like, I just feel like if you want to get that good publicity, to get that good publicity for AEW, I do feel like even if it's just they're pulling a sting and he retires at least from full time the next Wednesday or the following Wednesday of that event. I don't know, just I don't want now that AEW has shown that you don't always have to leave the business on your back. I don't want that to be the case for Danielson, but I know Danielson is that much like a humble person. Hell, he even said he doesn't want a WWE Hall of Fame ring, which I think is just silly. Take the damn ring when they offered it to you. Um yeah, I'm really hoping that they make that choice for Danielson because in all honesty, I kind of want Adam Page to screw over Swerve. So we could have that storyline be the inevitable world championship match if Danielson retires it. Again, this is all just fantasy booking for me. Like of where I'm hoping it's wanting to go. But I just don't want this just to be that typical, like you mad the stipulation that, okay, we all know Danielson is heading out full time wise. Don't have this be a just have the story like have him be the retired as champion, then just oh he's still just the loser that they've been showing. It's like okay he's been trying to make he's did the whole promoting this is his last year full time, and he's just other than winning the Owen Hart Cup he's been losing everything. So I hope this is the good redemption part for him because again just to go out in the loser category is just something I just don't see for Danielson.
I really want to believe that's true, but the way this whole thing is being positioned, I could is conceivable that either results could could happen. We'll see how it all progresses leading up to All In. But speaking of leading up to All In, we also got a lot more build up from MJF versus Will Ospreay. MJF had a match against who was that?
It was
Kyle
MJF versus
Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher.
Thank
Yeah.
you. There was a match supposedly that Fletcher was fighting for a shot at MJF's title, but of course didn't quite happen. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, he said he's took us home. He afterwards he took a really fascinating promo, and it seems like we're really going full bore on the MJF Osprey train for All In. That out of all the matches we've seen so far, I see this match as being the one where they're going to try to steal the show. Full stop.
Oh, they're not gonna try. They're gonna succeed.
Yeah,
This is gonna be an addition to the long list of Will Ospreay Match of the Year candidates that he's had for 2024.
absolutely. And MJF is such a workhorse. I want to just thank you, Scholar Jeff. It's quite interesting that you didn't ask me about the Daniel Bryan or Danielson match, with Strickland. Like, just begging not for me to give you a title match. I just don't understand it. But you do each your own. I'll keep my secrets to retain my belt if and so I decide to challenge you. You enjoy that popcorn, sir. I hope it's delicious and
Mm.
covered in butter. But
It
now,
is just
uh,
so light, so light.
MJF is a great worker. Will Ospreay is a great worker. This is if AEW is smart, they're going to put all cannons on fire and promote this event. Look at what they did last year at Wembley. They want to just shatter that record, and they're doing it with the MJF Will Ospreay. I cannot wait to see this match. This is my match of the night. I cannot wait for this match.
Oh, there's a lot I cannot wait for to see at the end of All In and leading up to that, including becoming your new Scholars of Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion.
Calm down.
But outside of that, there is plenty of stuff in the world of professional wrestling to get to before we get to All In, if and only if Scholar Pete decides to take my challenge. But we'll see in due time whether or not he accepts. In the meantime, those are our thoughts from this past week in wrestling. And now is the time of our show where we'll pitch it back over to you, our fellow fans. What did you think of SummerSlam? Was that more storyline based approach something you like? Do you like where all these storylines are going? And what did you make of the Wyatt Sicks? No matter what you thought, let us know all across the internet, all across our socials, including Facebook comments, YouTube posts. And if you want to join the conversation yourself, you can follow us directly on Twitter/X/ whatever you want to call it. You know where we are. But for the unenlightened, Fool, where can they reach you on the Twitter machines?
You can reach me enjoying this possible title feud going on for the Scholars of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship at the Avataric. Also, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, do that thing.
Do that thing.
Also, Scholar Pete, the newly crowned Scholar Pete, where can they find you on Twitter?
Of course, they can find me on that X machine at Improv Pete. I'll be posting pictures with the championship.
And you can find me
Drink it in, man.
and
Drink
you
it
can
in.
find me
Enjoy that juice.
you can find me waiting for this answer to my challenge if Scholar Pete is not too scared at I'm Robbie Rage. And for all
Too
these
scared? You
relevant,
want this milk? You want a shot?
I do,
You want a
I
shot
do,
of Goldie?
I do. Yeah,
You
yeah,
want a shot of Goldie?
I
Well, you'll
do.
find out your answer next week. Next week on Scholars, you'll find out if you get a shot of Goldie. Please like
Very,
and subscribe to the channel.
and for all of these relevant social media links and much, much more, check us out at our link tree in the description box below. That's linktree/Scholars of Wrestling. Now, speaking of storylines, the storylines are continuing and they will continue next week. But you already knew that because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
See you all for the answer to the challenge.